I have been reading, and this is really a very good article. Most of you might have read it a long time ago. I suggest to read it again after tonight. It's an article of Arnaud Desjardins, which you have published in 2009 in your magazine. And it's about the evolutionary process from the child to the sage. In this article, I find almost everything that I teach myself on childlessness and on the obstacles that people meet in maturing. See, when he came, in this article, he describes the moment when he came with some of his students. He came to his teacher, Swami Prajnanpad, and they were expecting, highest teachings on Advaita Vedanta or some very high spiritual teachings. And then they were kind of shocked that this Indian teacher taught only about childishness. When, and this is also from, the atmosphere in this ashram, when another woman came, and Arnaud, he described that he fell in love with her. And when they two had a meeting with the master, the first thing the master said to the woman, "You are in love with Arnaud?" And she said, "Yes." "Did you know that Arnaud is a child?" So this is a very, humiliating moment for the mind. I have been in my inner school, we have been doing kind of scientific field work. I think this is what you call it. It's not purely scientific in a way of but it's intuitively scientific. So what we do is I ask, and this I have been doing for the last 25 years, I ask students to determine intuitively the emotional age of the other students. I tell them, empty your mind beyond sympathy or antipathy, just give a sober look onto this person. What is the emotional age that you would determine? And it is interesting that you see over these 20 or 30 years, we have been always doing in the new school, we've always been doing the same thing. So I have an average over the decades, and I can tell you it was never over 5 years. So the average emotional age that we have determined, and just imagine we are talking about a selection of spiritually interested people. We're not talking about people on the street. So the average was around 5 years. And repeating the same experiment, we always came more or less to the same average. So what is this childishness that obviously almost everybody is fixated on? We have to find what childishness represents. You see, it does not represent the presence and it does also not represent the future, it does represent the past. So obviously there is something in the inner world of people that is extremely fixated on the past. Of course, we can say that the ego itself is a child. So finally we come to this conclusion, and this is also the conclusion in the article of Arnaud Desjardins, that, you know, the only 100% adult being is a sage. So the major problem seems to be this. We're living in a world that is, in many senses, supporting childishness. Not obvious childishness, but let me explain how the evolution in a human being happens in what I call the first incarnation. You see, the first incarnation is the incarnation every human being is going through. And of course, within this first incarnation, there are obviously symptoms of maturing. The body is maturing. The mind is also maturing to a certain extent. You see, if you compare a 4-year-old with an 18-year-old, when you watch your own children grow up, you will find there is a certain, you can witness a certain maturing. But this maturing is definitely very incomplete. It is incomplete because this process of maturing within the first incarnation of the human being is dominated and has been taken over by this entity called the mind.